One, the fallout from the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. What we know. Breaking down the sound, breaking down the visuals, and breaking down the truth when part of the fallout includes a media that is yanked off the air because it is so irresponsible. A media that at this point doesn't know how to tell the truth. And a media that helped create a climate where no one is shocked by an attempted assassination of Donald Trump. Two, the classified documents case against Donald Trump. Dismissed. Gone. Are you tired yet of winning? Three, let us not forget the biggest story of the past 10 days. The sitting president of the United States is so mentally incapacitated that not only is he a national security risk, at this point, it looks like Democrats may give up on 2024. It is the Will Cain Show, streaming live at foxnews.com, on the Fox News YouTube channel and the Fox News Facebook page. Always on demand on Apple or Spotify. Streaming live on terrestrial radio coast to coast and on YouTube. Just hit subscribe and you can hang out with the Will Cain Show every Monday through Thursday at 12 o'clock Eastern Time. Can we just slow down? Just catch our breath for a beat? On Saturday night, an attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. We need to talk about what we know, and more importantly, the climate that led to an environment where just none of us are blown away. No one is shocked, and almost everyone felt it was inevitable that at some point there would be an attempt on the life of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is scheduled today to make his pick as a running mate for vice president of the United States of America. Jack Smith's case in the classified document case at Mar-a-Lago dismissed. And let us not forget that Joe Biden still can't complete a sentence and yet is asking us for the opportunity to complete another term as president. What an incredible news cycle. What an incredible day. And we'll do our best hanging out together today here on the Will Cain Show to make not just an inventory, a catalog of the events, but to try to break through some increasing amount of insanity and make sense of the news in America. Let us get it started with story number one. On Saturday night, 6 p.m., July 13th, 2024, the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, survived an attempted assassination. It was not shocking. It was, in some ways, in all of our minds, inevitable. And yet, it played out to slack jaws on television. It played out in video form. It played out before all of our eyes. I think that we still have here today on the Will Cain Show something that cannot be watched and analyzed enough. The 2 minutes, the moments on your screen of an attempted assassination of Donald Trump. Watch. No, Two-Day says he doesn't have that one. Let's bring in Two-Days and Patrick, Tinfoil Patrick, and Young. So we have so many things we want to get through today. So many. And you're telling me the first thing that I go to you don't have.
We have so many. We were grabbing so many things from you.
Everybody's seen it. We've all seen it.
We've all seen it. But we do have the map of where it took place, which I'll put up here. So this is where the stage was.
Okay. All right. So on Sunday morning, when I broadcast on Fox and Friends weekend, what I wanted to do more than anything, look, there are different kinds of people in this world that respond to these kinds. I had a guy tweet me like, Will, I want to see your rage tomorrow morning. I want to see how angry you are. And I am, and I was. But that's just not how I operate, right? Like in the moment of fire, I don't actually like. In the moment of pressure, I don't like emotion. And I'm not trying to say I'm some kind of, Navy SEAL newscaster. Every single one of us have been through personal tragedy, I assume at some level, right? And if I'm being real, one of the biggest moments, I've had 2 moments of personal tragedy. These are personal. This isn't something that's in the news, right? My dad died suddenly when I was 25 years old. And my son, when he was just short of 3, pulled a crock pot of tomato and meat sauce off of the kitchen counter and suffered 3rd-degree burns over 7% of his body. And it was awful. It's run to the it's not run. It's get to the hospital immediately and spent a month in the hospital. The reason I'm just bringing those up apropos of nothing is how do you react? How do you react in those moments, right? And I'm not telling you emotion is inappropriate. You feel things. You feel, and you want to feel. It's part of being human. And this guy tweeted me, Will, I want to see your rage tomorrow morning. He wants to see his emotion cathartically represented on television. But the truth is, that's not how I'm built. In those personal moments in my life, and in these moments like this, an attempted assassination on Donald Trump, I need information. I need to make sense. I am driven. The handrail of sanity for me is information. And I consider that, that means I think I'm in the right job. Because that's what I'm supposed to be doing is sharing information. I'm not so sure. But I think a lot of people just want to emote. And they want their people like me talking with you to emote as well. But what I'm telling you is I'm just not built that way. And so, two-a-days, throw that back up. The first thing I want to do is start making sense and understanding. And so, this is what I want to see. And so, if you're listening on terrestrial radio, or you're listening on Spotify or Apple, this is a aerial shot of the fairgrounds in Butler County, Pennsylvania. Donald Trump has a rally stage set up. It looks like in front of some airplane hangars, 3 big warehouses. And then he has stands set up around him, behind and flanking either side. And then a sea of, thousands. In total, at least the entirety of the crowd, easily in the thousands. Yeah, multi-thousands in front of him. And then, if you're looking at the stage, as we all saw the video, to Donald Trump's right, to your screen left, is a warehouse 130 yards away. That warehouse is where reported shooter, and somebody said, why do you keep saying suspected? I think that's how you have to talk in the beginning, because one of the things about these moments is you got to acknowledge what you don't know, and we don't know a lot. A whole lot. We don't know, and we're going to learn. And what we think we know in the beginning on almost all these things is wrong. And so, I don't know if you have this two-a-days, but put up the way that this was reported in the beginning. Do you have CNN? I know we have a long list of things we want to look at and talk about today, so it's hard to pull up on demand. But in the beginning moments, this is how CNN... Yeah, CNN reported this in the beginning moments. Their headline is Secret Service rushes Trump off stage after he falls at rally. Okay, so here's what I'm saying. I am sympathetic to it's responsible to acknowledge what you don't know in those moments, or not leap to the presentation of knowledge that you don't have. But what you're seeing right there isn't prudence. What you're seeing right there isn't... It isn't caution. It isn't responsibility. It's a positive reframing. Donald Trump falls off stage. Anybody can read that and be like, I think it's also inseparable from the news cycle that we're having where, essentially what we're talking about is Joe Biden on the edge of falling physically and metaphorically, mentally for the prior 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's engulfed the news cycle. And you can't help but read that and say, that's a gross mischaracterization of what we do know, not just being responsible. Donald Trump didn't fall. Something happened. Now, this is the way BBC and the AP reported. It said loud noises, brought Donald Trump to his knees, brought Donald Trump to the floor. I don't know if you have that one two-a-days, but I know both. Yeah, this is BBC, who says Trump rushed off stage at rally as bangs heard, and then I don't know if we have NPR, but it was loud noises is what they had to say. about the culpability and responsibility for what happened. And what I would say about that is you still knew more. You're not simply being responsible. You're not simply, exercising caution about the limits of your own knowledge. This is a reframing of what happened. And why do I know that? Because if we had that video and audio that I tossed to at the beginning of our show, it's like getting up at the swim meet and after at the Olympics and false starting. Like, I trained all this time and I can't get off the blocks.
No, I know. It's like we talked about all the other elements and, that just didn't come up in the list. But yeah.
The big one.
Yeah.
No, but if we had that, here's what I know. You hear the Secret Service say the following. You hear this audio. Shoot her down, we're clear. I even had buddies text me, I didn't hear gunshots, or that's super low, or those firecrackers. Well, reports are it was an AR-style rifle 130 yards away from the microphones. And, even the more crazy people were like, why is nobody ducking if it's gunshots? Maybe it's because you have one shot. You have one shot. And by the way, they were ducking, but you have the shot behind Donald Trump, right? Sadly, one rally goer was killed. He was a fireman in Pennsylvania, and he was sitting in the elevated stands on the flanks of Donald Trump. 2 others critically injured I think that on both sides on the flank. So those that had their back to the shooter and those facing the shooter, because the bullet came essentially as Donald Trump was looking right. The bullet came from his right, missed his brain, by a millimeter, and nicked his ear. I did see this photo. I find this photo absolutely fascinating. I don't know the scientific accuracy of this, but I do think it's a decent illustration of he turns his head, and I'm holding up on screen a picture that shows the angle of his head, and literally if the angle of his head is, I'm going to say 30 degrees difference, not even a full 45 degree difference, it doesn't just go through his ear. It goes into his head. It goes across at least some portion of his brain. And you're 30 degrees. You're millimeters from living in a different timeline in history. And I don't know what that timeline looks like. I don't know. And I don't think it's not my job to hyperbolically sit here and play it out. But I will say this. I don't think there is hyperbolic speculation on what that timeline looks like. I don't know how America responds. Now, I will say, for all of those, they're like, Civil War. One thing I want to say is this. There have been 0 right-wing riots after an attempted assassination on the most popular Republican nominee for president in the past, in all of our lifetimes. Okay? I'd have to go back to Reagan. Is there another Republican nominee for president that has had, what is he at, 70, 80% of the electorate of the Republican base?
Yeah.
Right? He's basically the entirety. He is the party. He's the entirety. And there's never been a more popular one. And there was an attempted assassination on his life, and you have seen 0 riots, destruction, violence, retribution, retaliation for a fan base that has been dismissed as dangerous, as violent, as extremist, all the way from the media to the President of the United States. They have vilified not just Donald Trump, but his supporters. And not only have you not seen that, you didn't see it in the stands that day. You saw people calm. You didn't see running around, stampeding, and trampling on each other. You saw an emergency room doctor rush to the aid of the firefighter that was killed. You saw what I think we should all describe as something to be incredibly proud of, the way people have responded to this. Now, we do have it now because 2 days a hard worker.
Yeah.
So he just quickly pulled up. And I think it's worth revisiting. We're going to break down in a minute the fallout because you got to hear some of the craziness that is coming out. Here we are removed 36 hours from this event. But I do think it's worth, even though Young Establishment James says everybody's seen it, seeing it one more time, hearing it one more time. Here's the attempted assassination of Donald Trump.
Oh, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened. Oh.
I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes, sir.
Hold that in your head. It's bloody.
So we got to move to the bus. Let me get my shoes.
Okay, my shoes down.
Watch out.
God, there's so much there. There's so much there. I was watching almost live. I mean, I got a call, a text, and I think I saw a social media post, and I was on TV, not appearing, but watching television within minutes. And the first reaction from me was, let me get my shoes, let me get my shoes. This is even before I even internalized that iconic moment of raising his hand and his fist, but I don't know. I just thought it was badass. Let me get my shoes, let me get my shoes. Because, dude, he just took a bullet to the ear, and he's a millimeter from death, and every man knows you don't want to walk around in your socks. Like, I mean, if we're being real, when you walk around in your socks in your house, you feel a little less manly. Let's all be real. Like, especially if you're in public, and let me get my shoes. I don't know. I found that so badass. Let me get my shoes. Wait. And then he raises his hand. He pokes his head above. Wait. He pokes his head above the Secret Service agents and yells, fight. It is iconic. Okay, this isn't superficial stuff. It is superficial because it's symbolic, it's illustration, it's aesthetic. But it's not just superficial. I want you to really think about if that happened, okay? If that happened to you. I would judge no one for their response. Seriously. When you say you judge someone, it usually means, and I should probably amend my language there because judgment usually implies negativity, right? That you have a negative judgment, but you can have a positive judgment as well. So it's not right for me to say I would judge no one. I would negatively judge no one for how they responded in that moment. I mean, if you panic, if you run, if you're scared, if you duck under Secret Service, if you're quickly ushered to your car, if you have PTSD, man, there but for the grace of God go I. I don't know how I would respond. For any of you vets out there that have served in combat, you do, and I respect you for how you know that about yourself. You do. You wake up today and you know more about yourself than I know. There's a part of me that's a mystery to me, and I don't know how I would respond. Right? And so how can I judge someone and how they would respond? Negatively. But I do think I can judge someone positively because I don't think you can think of a better way to respond than the way Donald Trump did. And that is a display of not just aesthetic badassness, that's a display of strength, fearlessness, maybe a lack of wisdom, not that smart to poke your head up. How many shooters are there? Are you sure the shooter's been taken down? Should I poke my head up above the protection multiple times? Multiple times. Like right there in front of the podium, at the stairs, as he enters his car. But even if it was unwise, it was strong, it was fearless, and it was iconic. That photo that is circulating today, I don't know if you have that photo, 2-a-days, but that photo of Donald Trump raising his fist, blood trickling down his face, surrounded by Secret Service agents, an American flag suspended from cranes and flying in the blue sky should win a Pulitzer, and it should win an election. That's the truth. It should be game, set, match. It should be over. And I'm not the only one, I think, that thinks that. In the immediate aftermath of this, you saw people like Elon Musk and Wall Street hedge fund titan Bill Ackman tweet out they officially endorsed Donald Trump. Because that's not just aesthetic badassness. That is a rare display of strength. Now, let's go back 2-a-days. And by the way, we're having an open conversation here today on the Will Cain Show. That's what we're doing. We're having, and I'm going to get to the responsibility of what we're doing today, meaning I'm going to talk to you about the lines that I walk on sharing the truth and what I don't know with you in just a moment, because we're going to point to some that don't know the difference. Yesterday, we had a special drop of the Will Cain podcast, right? 20 minutes, instant reaction, less than 24 hours after this event. You can go to Spotify, Apple, and it's up on YouTube, and you can get my initial, more organized thoughts about this, okay? So I would encourage anyone. That's why you subscribe to the Will Cain Show on YouTube, because you'll always know when something like that goes up. But today we're having just a more honest conversation because there's so much to internalize and break down. Now, I want to go back to that photo of the fairgrounds, 2-a-days. So let's take a minute now to talk about Secret Service. So you can see that 130 yards away, stage right of the Trump rally is, I believe it's a glass manufacturing warehouse. It's sort of that, corrugated metal type building, not expensive, warehouse style buildings you throw up all over America to get the job done. It's sort of shaped like a horseshoe, or better yet, an H. It's like two buildings with a corridor connecting them. And there are photos that suggest that suspected, I have to say, I feel that that's what you say until everything is locked down and confirmed. But it is it Thomas Matthew Crook? I have the name right, guys,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
Thomas Matthew Crook?
Yes.
Okay, 20 years old. Let's take a minute to talk about Thomas Matthew Crook. What I have to share with you right now about him is it's odd how little I know about him. Okay? He's 20. He's from, I think it's called Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. There's a video going around of his high school classmates saying he was kind of bullied and that he was a bad shooter on the high school. I guess they had a shooting team or something. Not many schools have that. We don't know. Apparently, the FBI has his phone in Quantico and can't break in. That's the story, which is super weird. I mean, I don't know. It's just weird. I generally presume they know everything about me without breaking into my phone. So all of a sudden now we don't know anything and they can't break into his phone because Apple codes are so locked down. And that has been a story. Like, we couldn't get into the San Bernardino shooters' phones because Apple, I think that even went to the court system. Apple wouldn't release it to law enforcement. But we're approaching, later today, 48 hours from this incident, and we know very little about Thomas Matthew Crook. What's up, Tinfoil? Tinfoil's his name, so let's all, everybody be careful, including Tinfoil, about what we're about to say.
It's just odd. It's odd for someone who seems to be political. I went through a phase when I was in my 20s where I talked all the time on social media. He doesn't seem to have any social media presence whatsoever. So
really weird.
Interesting.
Really weird that, there's very little Twitter, X, TikTok, IG that we're aware of right now for a 20-year-old. What's up, 2-a-days?
Yeah, how long do you think it takes before we find out? Are they withholding for certain reasons? Like in other cases like this, how long do you think we wait? End of the week, tomorrow, today? I'm curious. Well,
that's an interesting question. So let's say that you're the head of the FBI and you have actual integrity and you could be trusted in this investigation, right? But that's a legitimate point. Like, who trusts the FBI and the DOJ to be real in this investigation? Very few, and very few on the right. There is earned and appropriate skepticism of the powers that be at the DOJ and the FBI to share with us the truth. Here's what I think that the line to it is they have to walk. If you're head of the FBI, you don't go too early. I think that's always smart. I don't think the world is first take. Okay? This is where I think X is incredibly valuable as an information resource. It's also incredibly dangerous. And we're going to get to that in a minute because we all know the maxim. Like everyone listening has said the thing, probably said it about more mainstream media like TV or newspapers. Everybody's trying to be first, not right. Well, now everybody and their mom is on social media trying to be first and not right. So I don't want the head of the FBI trying to be super fast. I want him to get it locked down and give me accurate information. But here's the line you have to walk. If you wait too long, people fill up that time gap with conspiracy. They do. And they will. And that will take hold in people's minds. And I know I'm bouncing all over the place, and I am going to be very Howard Stern-like in my ability to maintain a thread and come back. And we're going to come back, but I'm going to indulge this for a minute because this is the right place to do it. Responsibility. We got to talk about this for a minute. We are 36 hours removed, and there's a lot of irresponsibility out there. I'm going to give you one example. There's a video of a lady behind Donald Trump with, I believe, a black hat on. And people are saying she needs to be investigated. Why? Because she supposedly reacted weirdly to this event. She looks right. She's wearing sunglasses. And then the minute Donald Trump is shot, her phone goes up. Now, this is largely shared by an account. I'm going to say it by the name of Matt Wallace. I know firsthand that this is an account you do not trust. This is an account that is interested in engagement, not the truth. Okay? I know that from Maui. It's one of the prime, not the only, but one of the prime perpetrators of like blue paint didn't burn and government lasers. Literally put up a picture of an Elon Musk, what do you call it? Starlink? Or what's the space company?
SpaceX.
SpaceX launch and superimpose the contrails from the rocket over Lahaina to make it look like a freaking laser is burning up Lahaina. I mean, I'm there in Lahaina days after it happened. And this is an account perpetrating just, I'm going to be real, horse shit. Complete horse shit. It is. It's not squint your eyes and see the truth stuff. It's horse shit perpetuated over and over and over. And there's a lot of crap going on out there right now. Our old friend, guys, and I say friend, I use that loosely, but like we liked having Destiny on, right? Destiny is a prominent YouTuber from the left. I say YouTube, but he's on multiple platforms. He does really well in terms of numbers. What we increasingly got to learn is numbers don't mean crap, okay? That means you've gotten attention. And like this other one, people can get attention for a lot of nonsense. Well, Destiny is out there today, or yesterday, maligning this dude that was killed at the Trump rally. Like, basically saying, oh, so super sad, because he's saying that anybody that supports Donald Trump deserves this? I mean, I really enjoyed my interaction with Destiny that day. You can't have somebody back on the show like that. You can't. What are you doing? Do you even believe that? Are you just engagement farming? Are you just trying to... Any reaction is a good reaction, or do you even worse, I think it's worse, I'm not sure, actually believe that anybody who disagrees with you or supports Donald Trump deserves to be shot in the head? I mean, this is the crap. So there's stuff on the left, and there's stuff on the right, and it's going to get worse. And my thing on this is, only you can be the judge. I believe in the democracy of ideas and information. I do. I believe in free speech. But that puts the burden on you watching and you listening. You have to be very selective about who you listen to. You have to be your own editor. You have to be your own researcher. You have to know who to trust. Because you cannot trust the media anymore to do that for you. Because it's not just like digital media and social media players. I want you to bring up some examples of the way people responded to this. I think we have some of these over time, different headlines and reactions and the way that media's behaved in the past 36 hours. This is CNN. Trump speech interrupted by Secret Service. I mean, are you serious? That's what happened, CNN? Trump speech interrupted by Secret Service? Is this somebody you trust to be your editor to guide you and point you in the direction of the truth? Here's the AP. Breaking: Donald Trump has been escorted off the stage by Secret Service during a rally after loud noises ring out in the crowd. Is that where you outsource your information and judgment to, your wisdom? Bring that Newsweek one up again if you can, two-a-days. This is Newsweek. MAGA responds with outrage after Donald Trump injured at Pennsylvania rally. Who should we focus on? MAGA. And then how about this? This is two-a-days. Do you have Martha Raddatz ready to go?
I do, yes.
This is Martha Raddatz. She's talking to George Stephanopoulos, okay? Let's set aside. For a moment, say, Will, all those examples you're giving, that's Destiny. That's a guy named Matt Wall. That's some 27-year-old CNN headline writer that probably got in trouble from their boss. Doubtful. But let's retain some hope for the world. How about this? This is the esteemed George Stephanopoulos. And I use esteemed, of course, sarcastically. Martha Raddatz looks old as hell, so I don't know how long she's been doing this. Half a century. Probably award winner, right? Mainstream certified and celebrated Martha Raddatz after Donald Trump survives an attempted assassination.
President Trump and his supporters have contributed to this violent rhetoric as well.
Well, absolutely, George. We were just looking back this morning at some of the things that former President Trump has said. He warned last March of potential death and destruction if he were charged by the Manhattan District Attorney. Our country is being destroyed as they tell us to be peaceful. Trump in January warned of bedlam in the country if the criminal charges against him succeeded. And, of course, in March, he said, now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That will be the least of it. He said he was partly joking and that was taken out of context. But those are indeed his words. And you have heard it from supporters as well. And supporters are certainly in some parts angry. And let's remember January 6th. In so many ways for the campaign, January 6th will probably be in the background after yesterday's event. This is a very difficult time for this campaign. I'm sure this week in Milwaukee that President Trump will highlight this, and President Biden is going to have to figure out how to go forward with his campaign and what exactly they say.
Good God, man. Trump's skirt was too short. That's what you're saying, Martha Raddatz? George Stephanopoulos, that he invited this? You're saying he's indulged in violent rhetoric, which I will challenge everyone today. Give me examples. I am so tired of your blanket generalizations. Oh, Donald Trump lied. Donald Trump has used violent rhetoric. Okay, give me an example. Let's go through them. Oh, I know what you're going to say. The Donald Trump bloodbath. He was talking about the auto industry. There'll be a bloodbath in the auto industry. Go through them. Come on. I want the examples. In the comment sections right now, if you're watching, if you're from the left, and you believe this, I believe you are the victim of a mass psychosis, that you're being played by the likes of Martha Raddatz. And you've bought in, and that's a sickness you're going to have to shake. And the only way to shake it is to go piece by piece, one by one. But even if he had, okay, even if you get proven right on one or two, and I don't think you would, that invites an assassination attempt? Now, if I'm just talking to you and you're on the internet, I say, hey, come on, you got to grab the handrail of sanity here. You got to get it together. But Martha Raddatz? I said this on X. I used to want to work. I did work at places like CNN and ESPN because I wanted to be the voice of reason. A, it's fun. B, it's needed. And C, I thought it was redeemable. That I could be a voice of reason. I could push back. And because I was, better, more wise, better judgment, maybe I could even rise. No more. These places are irredeemable. This is victim blaming. This is supporter demonizing. This is a moral equivalency that is beyond sick. It's incurable. This isn't a cold. It's not COVID. This is incurable cancer for this industry. You can't just hire better people with better judgment. I can give you example after example. CNN's Jamie Gangel attacks Trump for getting up and saying, fight, fight, fight. That is not the message we want to be sending right now. We want to tamp it down. She was criticizing Trump, in my mind, for showing strength and saying fight. She's criticizing Trump for his reaction to an attempted assassination, to being shot in the ear. The Denver Post, look at this. Gunman, this is off my phone, gunman dies in attack. Right, small subhead above that. Trump says he was shot in the ear. Trump says he was shot in the ear. How about The Guardian? He rose from the stage, apparently in defiance of their wishes, to raise a fist in the air and yell, fight. Trump was defiant and calling for revenge. He was calling for revenge? Nah. This industry is sick. It is sick beyond repair. It is irredeemable. And that puts you, again, you can't outsource your judgment. You can't. So that brings me back to being responsible and attempting to find the truth in this moment. Two-a-days, because you hang out in a different kind of social crowd maybe than the rest of us. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know if you're comfortable tell me some of your New York City Sunday brunch conversations.
It's tough, especially after things like these. I heard a lot of people just blindly saying gross things like, oh, this is obviously staged, and oh, I can't believe they're believing this, and things like that. And I'm just sitting there, what evidence or what backing do you have of that? So I don't know if you've heard some of that, but I just think hearing
I see it all over.
Yeah, it's staged.
It's all over social media.
Crazy.
From the left. And I mean, this is like the most brain dead of takes. Mm-hmm. Like, how does this one survive forget rebuttals, one question? You're telling me, I want to clarify your position, they hired a 20-year-old to shoot him from 130 yards in the ear? In the ear, as a staged assassination attempt? That's what you would trust a 20-year-old, while you're moving around on stage, by the way, constantly in motion, to pinpoint your ear and miss your brain by a millimeter for political gain on a race that you were already winning, and Joe Biden was in the process of absolute self-destruction and implosion, that this is what you would do?
And they always talk about, the left always talks about, conservatives having these conspiracy theories. That's a huge conspiracy theory that they're all automatically going right towards. And it's...
Okay, well, what's up? What's up, young James?
It's not that a former fire chief and father of two daughters and a well-established guy in the community wasn't killed from that. Mm-hmm.
Right.
They're going to say that was fake, too. They're going to go to those two daughters and say that was fake. Come on.
Right. By the way, and I want this is not just to slam the left and the media. So look, there are many on the right that are jumping. I pointed out to this lady in the background, which I think is super irresponsible because she's just a lady, by the way. And now you're pointing all the attention on her. Like, inside job, all this stuff. Here's my thought on this. I think as truth seekers and journalists or whatever, just don't close your mind to anything. Don't. Be open. Like, the media seems to think that its job is to, immediately close the door on anything that isn't, I don't know, socially acceptable. No, my job is to be socially unacceptable. My job is to ask questions. My job is to be curious. My job is to wonder why Secret Service didn't clear this building 130 yards away. My job is to continue to go and find the truth no matter where it leads you. So our friend Bobby Burek at Outkick pointed out, you don't close your mind to conspiracies. No, absolutely not. You leave your mind open to all of it, but you don't leap to conclusion, right? You don't leap to saying any of this stuff. Questions that have been vilified, by the way, asking questions, that's where you are supposed to exist. I want to know. And by the way, so just as an example today of how sick all this is, Morning Joe was yanked off the air. I mean, we could say this morning, biggest news event, I don't know, half a century? I mean,
9/11.
Especially when you layer on to Joe Biden, the Joe Biden cover-up on his senility. Trump may pick his VP, the RNC's kicking off, all these things, and they yanked Joe Biden off air. I mean, Morning Joe off air. It's Joe Biden's favorite show. Because reports are from CNN, they're too concerned about what they would say. Either Joe, Mika, or all the guests they have on, that they would be so inappropriate and so irresponsible. And by the way, I don't think Comcast, MSNBC has all of a sudden seen the light and understood the damage they're doing to this country. I do. I think they're worried about getting sued. I think they're like, I can't put these people out there. They're going to get us sued. So, one last thing on this media, and I did this in yesterday's podcast, so go see this. I don't know yet about, I keep getting his name wrong, Thomas Matthew Crooks. Thomas Matthew Crook?
S on the end.
Crooks. Hegseth said, wow, is it another set of 3 names for an assassin?
Wow.
I'm like, yeah, no, I think this is what they would do. Like, if I did this, they would say Charles Williams Cain.
Yep.
They would put out the entirety of my name. Like, I don't think it's a John Wilkes Booth, Lee Harvey Oswald. Like, Lee Harvey went by both Lee and Harvey. I don't know about John Wilkes Booth. Until I find out that Thomas Matthew went by both names, it's not a 3-name thing. I mean, I think they're putting out the entirety of his name, tinfoil.
I have a quick question. On Wikipedia, it says that your middle name is Williams. Is it Williams or Williams?
Yes.
I just want to clarify for people with the fake news out there.
Williams.
It is Williams?
It's with the S. Yeah, with the S. Yeah.
Wow.
My name's not William. It's my mom's maiden name.
That's great.
It's my mom's
had
maiden
no idea.
name.
Okay.
It's her last name growing up. And so, I mean, I don't think that's uncommon. But then they chose, I guess, because it works, it works as a first name, I can go by Will. I was always Will from birth. But yeah, it's Williams.
Shouldn't you go by
very regal.
I like it.
Shouldn't you go by Wills then?
No. I don't even know what to do with that.
Hey,
here's what I know, besides the fact that he has 3 names. He was 20 years old. This is what I broke down for you yesterday. That means for half his life, he's been saturated in an environment where he's been told Trump is Hitler, Trump is a threat to democracy, Trump is a would-be authoritarian, and Trump is a literal Nazi. And I don't know yet his motivations, and I'll be responsible about that. But here's what I do know. When you tell people for the better part of a decade, and in this individual's case, his half of his life, that your survival is at stake if you don't, literally in quotes, take out or stop Trump, someone's going to take you up on your invitation. Someone is going to do it. That's why it had a sense of inevitability that this was going to happen. I think all of these environments hold culpability for where we are today. This threat to democracy, literal Hitler stuff, and the number of institutions and individuals who have said it, Tapper and Cooper and CNN and Reed and Maddow and MSNBC, New York Times and Washington Post, BBC, every single one of them have indulged this existential crap. And it has led to this moment. All the way back, I remember the thread, and we can put the photo back up. Crooks climbs up onto the what looks like the connector in the H with a ladder, and on a pitched roof, climbs up the far side where it is true like a Secret Service counter sniper there's 2 teams perched above Trump on either flank, theoretically could not see him until he peeked over the crown of the building's roof. But people in the crowd did hear him, did see him. And it appears for several minutes we're warning law enforcement there's a guy up on the roof with a rifle. Now, what does this reflect in terms of conspiracy or incompetence? From what I've been led to understand, think of concentric circles. Secret Service has the immediate circle right around Trump and inside the building, crowd. Secret Service has the furthest outside third layer of the concentric circle with the sniper team looking out. The middle circle is usually outsourced to local law enforcement. So in coordination with Secret Service. 130 yards. You're like, wow, that would be the building you would focus on the most. to this day, I think we have questions to answer about how is it a 20-year-old climbed up onto what seems to be the prime position for shooting Trump, 130 yards away, direct line of sight, direct line of fire, without being noticed by anyone but Trump rally goers. How did that happen? Did he just pick this location by dumb luck, by the way? Was this his first day and he stumbled into prime position? Did he scout it? And how did he never get discovered in scouting it? A Secret Service advance team should have identified this, and reports are now they did, as a vulnerability. So why weren't we monitoring people going in and out of that building that day? Why weren't we monitoring the roof of that building on a more thorough basis? But as to like the eyewitnesses who said they saw him, the way I understand it is they would have alerted local law enforcement, all right? And that local law enforcement would have had to report up their chain. And then that chain would have reached a Secret Service liaison. And then the Secret Service liaison relays it back down to the sniper team or somebody on the ground. I don't know if all that can be done in 2 minutes. Like just, yeah, I mean, theoretically, you and I can add it up. That would only take, but like, I got to run over here. I got to get somebody else on the phone. I don't know. I'm being real. I don't know that 2 minutes is enough to get him before he squeezes off a round. This is what the eyewitness stuff sounded like that day when they saw the shooter.
I was up at the fence line, saw the guy move from roof to roof, told an officer that he was on the roof. The officer come looking, I went back to heard that there was somebody that could see the person, so I went back to where they were standing, saw the person, went back and told the officer again that if he goes back to that particular spot, he can see the person, figuring that he would go in radio. And when I turned around to go back to where I was is when the gunshots started, and then it was just chaos, and we all came running away, and that was that.
Let me get this right. So you actually saw the man on top of the roof behind us?
Yes.
And you're saying people reported that to law enforcement, saying there is a man on the roof of the building?
Yes, there were two officers that were actively searching. You could tell they were searching and looking for somebody, and we just tried to help and tell them where the guy was.
There you go. My buddy Pete Hegseth, co-host on Fox News Weekend, he said he said Trump rallygoers actually may have saved Trump's life. Even by, there he is, there's a guy on the roof, there's a guy with the rifle, and then alerting law enforcement, there are reports that a local law enforcement officer went up on the roof and Crooks turned his rifle at the law enforcement officer, wherein the law enforcement officer retreated. All of this could have rushed. I think Pete's right in saying this. All of this could have rushed the shooter in the end, and he missed by a millimeter. I don't know. This is where it's like, I think it's responsible to ask questions and not leap to conclusions. But Secret Service should be a prime target for your questions. Here are legitimate things to talk about. Why was there not more Secret Service assigned to Donald Trump? There are conflicting reports. There are those with credentials and credibility that say it was asked and denied. There are others, like the Secret Service spokesperson, who says it was never asked for more, but it was given more because of the increased tempo of the campaign. So why was there not more resources devoted? Benny Thompson, congressman, Democrat, he attempted, I think we have a headline we can put up on this, he attempted to deny Trump Secret Service protection based upon the idea they'll pass a new rule or law that if you're a convicted felon, which Trump is, you don't get Secret Service detail. So why are Democrats denying their political opponents, trying to deny their political opponents Secret Service protection? They've certainly done so with RFK. By the way, Benny Thompson had an aide in his Mississippi office who said, if you're going to do this, why don't you learn how to shoot? Now, that aide has been fired, but that is what is inside of your office, Democratic congressman, that mentality. Why don't you learn how to shoot? Wishing for a different outcome when it comes to the assassination of Donald Trump. DEI is a legitimate question to talk about when it comes to Trump. Now, this isn't about any particular female officer, not necessarily, but the head of the Secret Service has said that her goal is to have 30% female Secret Service. Why is that your goal? Why? Isn't the goal to protect the President of the United States and get the best people in the available job to do it? Trump was able to poke his head above that crowd because one of the female Secret Service agents, who, by the way, I have heard the Trump camp loves. She's awesome. She's great. She's a badass. She dove into the breach. But she's also looks to be about 5'4". And Trump at about 6'4" towers over her. I mean, size, strength, speed, these are things that matter. If you are literally a human shield, that's what Secret Service is, a human shield to protect a target. There's other videos that day of some other Secret Service agents, females, and I don't think it's illegitimate to point this out. One of them seemed very panicked and capable of holstering her pistol. Now, I am sure there are females, some, maybe, but probably not that many, is in any warrior class, physically demanding job who can rise to the level of merit. But again, some, but not that many, and not 30%. The job isn't to be representative. The job is not equity. The job is to protect the president. Period. Full stop. End of story. So devotion of resources, why that was not spotted on that roof, why that roof wasn't secured. I have different reports on how long it took to get him off the stage. By the way, Trump's the boss, but he's not the boss in those moments. So if he says, wait, or let me get my shoes, even though I think it's badass, you're not supposed to listen. You're supposed to get him off the stage. A lot of questions for Secret Service. And we got to keep an open mind as we pursue the truth. But I think you have to be, me, increasingly critical and turn to sources you trust in looking for information. All right. Before I move on quickly, is there anything else that we missed? So I really have to play Two-A-Days, Tinfoil Pat, Young Establishment James on this story. I mean, we're going to keep talking about this as information comes in. But we had so many things we wanted to hit today, and I've just been going through it conversationally with you. Did I miss anything like huge I need to hit?
Not huge, but the reaction and the tweets from Democratic people like Governor Newsom, this tweet saying violence has no place in our democracy. My thoughts are with President Trump and those kind of things. What do you feel about these outreaches after the fact and from people like him?
Well, okay, I feel two things. One, what stood out to me about that, and why I sent that to you, it's just my thoughts are with. It's like they villainize thoughts and prayers. And they have, like after shootings. Mm-hmm. But it's just the prayers part that's the problem? You kept the thoughts, but you took out the prayers. Mm-hmm. You know how they always say thoughts and prayers aren't good enough? That's what they always say. And it's bad and it's a cop-out. Yep. But he leaves in the thoughts but keeps out the prayers, and it's just right. It's like, I mean, I pick up what you're putting down there, Gov. But I do find this is 2 days where I want to be responsible, I want to be right, and I also want to be magnanimous. I want to accept that, but then Joe Biden goes out and does his thing, and I don't think it's hard. I didn't send you this, but look at this collection of things said by Joe Biden over time. I'm holding this up for the camera. Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans are a threat to the very soul of our country, right? And I literally have 5 of these over time. Donald Trump is the greatest threat to our democracy. Donald Trump is a genuine threat to the nation. He's a threat to our freedom. He's a threat to our democracy. He's literally a threat to everything Americans stand for. Donald Trump is a threat to our democracy. Again, Trump poses many threats, but his greatest threat is he poses to our democracy. If we lose that, we lose everything. Joe Biden says this over and over and creates an environment where you can make people sick in the head. They're like, oh my God, he's such a threat. Somebody should do something. And then he doesn't get to go out and go, everybody, we should all unite and be together.
Yeah, there's a video we have here, too, of him saying just that.
Most importantly, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, Trump is a threat to this nation.
You don't get to do this, man, and then take the high road now, right? You created this environment. All right, I got to wind up because we got more we have to get to today. And believe it or not, I have to go to the ballpark at Arlington. I'm going to be late. I got to go interview a bunch of all-star, not the ballpark at Arlington, Globe Life Field in a minute. It's the old ballpark in Arlington. Major League Baseball All-Star Game is tomorrow, and I have a scheduled appointment to go interview a bunch of all-stars. But I do want to hit some more with you. Trump is scheduled to speak at the RNC this week, and the reports are he's re-engineered his speech to focus on unity. Good. There are also reports out that he is going to make his vice presidential pick today at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. I don't think this is irresponsible. I think this is interesting. Young establishment James, tell us what you found in your deep dive investigative research.
So after our phone call this morning, I started typing in Trump and then the last name of all the potential VP candidates, TrumpYunkin.com, TrumpVance.com, TrumpScott.com, and nothing showed up. Nothing. The website blocked, the Fox the IP address got blocked, but then I did TrumpBurgum.com, and up showed up the Donald Trump for President campaign website.
So TrumpBurgum.com redirects to the Trump campaign.
Yeah. Now, I asked someone within the camp what they thought about that, and their response was somebody had purchased that IP address a couple weeks ago, but that also could just be some deflection till the official 4:30 announcement, so nothing gets out.
It's not bad, James. It's not bad. It's not bad work.
Work for the FBI.
We have our fun.
We'll find out here. Last thing on Vice President, this event totally changes the equation for me. Whoever he picks, okay. But a vice presidential candidate should be an assassination insurance policy. We've seen the value of an insurance policy for Joe Biden. Kamala Harris is so incompetent and so bad that they can't move off a guy who is literally almost comatose as their nominee for president. You need somebody behind Trump that is, I don't know, equally unacceptable to those that hate Trump. For, I don't know, ideological reasons, whatever it may be. I do believe it's an assassination insurance policy. Right now, my pick would be J.D. Vance. It's who I would trust with the America First agenda that truly believes it. I don't care about the videos of him in the past, being against Trump. I believe that J.D. Vance believes in America First. And in my mind, that would make him the prime candidate for vice president. We'll find out a little bit later today, and we'll break it down tomorrow here on The Will Cain Show. But let's take a quick break before we move to story number 2. We'll be right back on The Will Cain Show.
The Fox News Podcast Network.
I'm Emily Campagno, and this is the Fox True Crime Podcast.
And I had nothing to do with her disappearance, but people still accuse me of it.
I sit down with the people who lived the nightmares.
I was in shock. I was just devastated.
The investigators who tirelessly worked on the case.
I feel for their families, and I really hope that they can catch this guy.
Bringing you closer to the story than you ever thought possible.
Listen and follow now at foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you get your podcasts. The stage is set. The party is ready.
We will fight for America like no one has ever fought before.
And history will be made.
The Republican National Convention, live from Milwaukee on Fox News Radio.
This is Democracy 24 coverage you won't hear anywhere else from the #1 name in news, plus special analysis from the voices America trusts. The Republican National Convention. Download the Fox News app and click listen at 7 p.m. Eastern tonight.
It's time to take the quiz. 5 questions, 5 minutes a day, 5 days a week.
History, pop culture, science, sports, civics. How much do you know? Let's find out.
Who was the first person to walk on the moon?
Jackson or something?
Neil Armstrong.
Take the quiz every weekday at thequiz.fox and then listen to the quiz podcast to find out how you did.
Play, share, and of course, listen to the quiz right now at thequiz.fox.
On a normal day, this would be huge news. I mean, it would be the top news. We got a huge amount of viewership today, by the way, on YouTube, on Facebook, everywhere. Hey, love to have you here in the Will Cain Show community. Go subscribe at Apple or Spotify if you like listening. Subscribe on YouTube. And I don't even care if you're on the left. Join in because I want the robust discussion. Normally, this would be a huge day for our show with just this news alone. But Trump was like on a Steph Curry-like run, hitting 3 after 3. Jack Smith's classified document case, the Mar-a-Lago raid, dismissed. Unconstitutional appointment of a special prosecutor. It is the Will Cain Show, streaming live at foxnews.com, on the Fox News YouTube channel and Facebook page. And again, hit subscribe on YouTube. Venom6848 says, Williams is a Scottish surname. and then has that thinking emoji. What is the thinking emoji about? Something wrong with Scots? I'm Scotch-Irish, like every other Southerner or Texan. Yeah, my middle name, and I go by my middle name, is Williams. And then PG Dark 19 says, to young establishment James attempt, Wills it is from now on. Instead of Will, it's Wills. That'd be really bad for my brand if it was Wills. Right? All of a sudden, now I'm like English instead of Texan.
Yeah.
You ever met an American that goes by Wills?
I do. I have. He's like,
because you're from the Northeast and your establishment.
But he went to Clemson, fraternity kid, like chill dude.
I think it would be good for your brand. One of the biggest problems we have is your name is the same. Will is the same as a question. So like you're searching it in Google, it's like Will Cain do what? You know. But
there's there's an MMA fighter.
Yeah.
And there's an MMA fighter named Cain. So it's always like Will Cain Vasquez or whatever, like retain the title, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's up, 2 days?
And I always like, if I have to search your name in our email or online or something, it always comes up as like cocaine in the White House story, like cocaine.
Yeah, I could get into some past nicknames. Not because of anything I ever did. I never did, but it lends itself to some stupid nicknames. This is a bombshell in and of itself, man. Here's Jonathan Turley, Fox News legal analyst, law professor at George Washington University. The dismissal of the classified documents case is a seismic development. From the beginning of all these cases, I have said that the Mar-a-Lago case was the greatest threat to the former president. It is now dismissed. This was a 3-point shot for Trump. The easier basket was the D.C. case, despite a far more favorable judge for Jack Smith. That case is inundated with presumptively privileged evidence and challenged charges. But Judge Cannon's case, this is the Mar-a-Lago case, mirrors the views of many leading lawyers who see the same constitutional flaw that led Justice Clarence Thomas to say, in his recent opinion, that there are good faith arguments on both sides, but that it is unconstitutional in the way that Jack Smith was appointed special counsel as a U.S. attorney. This decision, says Turley, is another example of how Smith misplayed his hand in piling on charges in Florida. He goes on and on, Turley, but it's good analysis. I mean, this is huge in and of itself, and Trump just can't stop winning. What does he always says? We're going to win so much. You guys think my Trump's the worst. We're going to win so much, we're going to be sick of winning. I'm trying to be deeper, too. You guys all said I was too high-pitched, even though I get a lot of compliments on my Trump impersonation.
Who gives you compliments on that?
Everyone, James. Everyone.
Everybody's doing it. See, there's a better one.
All right, so let's take inventory real quick. Convicted in New York, sentencing delayed until September. Jack Smith, January 6th case, delayed until possibly after the election. Mar-a-Lago, dismissed. Now, it'll be appealed to the 11th Circuit, and I saw a report that it will go before Thomas if appealed from there. Bad news for Jack Smith to go before Thomas. So the entirety of the lawfare against Trump, falling apart. Joe Biden, falling apart. Donald Trump, beast moding an assassination attempt. I mean, are you sick of winning? Are you sick of winning as he promised?
I'm not bored of it.
He is on a heater. He's on an absolute heater. Huge day for Donald Trump. And that brings us to story number 3. Let us not forget before all this, I mean, the biggest story in news, and I said the biggest cover-up in half a century, is that the sitting president of the United States is a national security threat because he is so mentally incapacitated that he can't complete a sentence, a thought, or a term, much less 4 more years as president. This story remains huge. This was so big that Democrats have been in the process of trying a civil war, divided basically 50-50, on replacing Joe Biden as candidate in the next few weeks, in the next few days. Now, all of a sudden, that gigantic story is shoved to the back burner. And it shouldn't be, but it's shoved to the back burner because of an attempted assassination of Donald Trump, lawfare's failure, and the pick of a vice president. It's so much that I'm going to have tinfoil Pat just bring me this. I don't have it in front of me. Democrats are now starting, there are reports that they are saying, okay, we're not going to replace Joe Biden. We're going to surrender. We're going to run Joe Biden out there to lose because it's better than losing one of our players on our board because Trump's guaranteed to win. Isn't that what are the reports, Pat, if you have it in front of you, on what Democrats are saying about essentially conceding this election?
Right, I'm trying to pull it up real quick. But I mean, I remember the Representative Ocasio-Cortez fought against them on that. Let's see.
You're doing great, Pat. Take your time.
We have a Axios reported.
Are you getting nervous?
I'm a little bit. Yeah, I'm a little.
Yeah. It's fun to scroll your phone. It's fun to scroll your phone while everybody watches and says, "Pull it up."
House Democrats. Yeah, I thought it'd be faster, but apparently not.
We'll spit it out, man.
So it looks like it's just multiple senior Democrats, and they are tense, and that this is a disaster for the president, and his campaign is going down. So
you just lost your job as newsreader. You just lost your job as newsreader. You are no longer ever going to have an update. This was a fall on your face, flat moment. This combined with your unwillingness to do a Trump impersonation, you're fired.
Come on, man.
Oh, I like that.
Multiple House Democrats. Nope. Now's when you hit mute. I still can't believe that this story has now made its way to the back burner, and it's a matter of time before it goes back to the front burner. Because, I mean, except for an assassination attempt, which is about the only thing you could think of that would push a sitting president's incapacity off of the front page of the newspaper, metaphorically and literally, this story cannot go away. I, by the way, do not take anything for granted. I am not here to say that this election is over, despite that iconic image, but despite that iconic moment, and despite Joe Biden's implosion. No, there's some more tricks up the sleeve. There are more things to come. There's more media manipulation. There is so much left to try to manipulate this election. There is no way they're simply going to let Joe Biden run into a wall and move on to 2028. Nope. No, that's not done yet. But I don't know that they can move on with Joe Biden. This is something else. We're going to be breaking it down all week here on the Will Cain Show. We'll have his vice presidential pick, Donald Trump's, from the RNC tomorrow. We'll break all that down. We're going to stay on searching for the truth on the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. And we will be with you, trying to thread the open-minded but responsible in pursuing the truth right here on the Will Cain Show. We'll see you again next time.